Hello everyone and welcome back to another Movie Nights movie review. Today we are talking about Blink Twice. This is the directorial debut of Zoe Kravitz and it has a stacked cast. It has Naomi, Ackie, Channing Tatum, Alia, Shawkat, Christian Slater, Simon Rex, Adria, Arjona. I hope I'm saying that right because I definitely pronounced her name way wrong in my Hitman review. And I have to say, when I first saw the trailers for this film, I wasn't particularly excited. I was intrigued by the fact that it was Zoe Kravitz's debut, but I thought it kind of looks like some movies we've seen before, and I don't really know what the movie wants to say. I'm happy to report that the movie exceeded all of my expectations. It's much better than I anticipated that it was going to be, and Zoe Kravitz should be very proud of her work. It is a solid directorial debut. It's not perfect, which we're going to get into, but I want to start off with the positives, and I'm going to also do a comparison. And the comparison's The Thief of Joy, and I don't mean to disparage the film that I'm comparing it to, but to kind of help get the point across of how I felt watching the movie. I think Blink Twice is the film that Don't Worry Darling thought it was. And to that point, I think Blink Twice does an amazing job of building an intriguing story over the runtime, using suspense, using great editing. The film is edited exceptionally, to the point where when it is revealed what's going on, the movie does a great job of establishing the rules of its own world so that it seems like it's plausible to the audience member, and to me has a really satisfying conclusion. There are going to be people who don't like the ending to this movie. I can anticipate that already. However, I loved how the movie ended, and I thought the movie was building towards that. I'm not going to give away any spoilers, so if I sound vague in my descriptions, that's why. On a performance level, I think Channing Tatum steals the show. He gives an incredible performance, but there's not a bad performance in this group. I think everyone does a great job. The chemistry between Naomi, Ackie, and Alia Shawkat is excellent. They work amazing together. And to the kind of quasi-horror aspect of this film, I think it does a great job taking something that should feel comfortable, I'm not going to say what it is, but something that should feel comfortable and make people feel safe, and use it to make you feel uncomfortable and unsafe. And I thought that was utilized exceptionally well. I think the themes it deals with of the idea of celebrity and the idea of obsession with celebrity and memories, that's all I'm going to say about that particular aspect of the movie because I don't want to spoil it, but what it does and what it says about memory in particular is very interesting. I also think the movie is paced incredibly well. Most first-time filmmakers struggle with pacing, not Zoe Kravitz. I think the pacing of this film is actually one of its strongest things about it. It knows exactly when to move, exactly when to hold on a moment, and it knows when to kind of make you forget about what's happening in the forefront so you can pay attention to the background. It does an exceptional job. It's very well crafted. Now, there are some flaws with the movie. Particularly, there are a couple moments where you have to suspend your disbelief a certain amount, and sometimes it doesn't quite get there. Sometimes it does, and for the most part, especially for something as bold as the twist that the movie's trying to make you believe, you do buy into it. There's just a couple moments here and there where you're like, I'm not sure about that. There's only one logic leap with the script, and I'm going to be vague, but basically, where they're at hinges on a particular item that is very important to Channing Tatum's character. And yet where they're at is overrun by things that actively are the antithesis of that item, which just makes it interesting as to why don't they just go somewhere else? But other than that, yes, you had to have it, the antithesis thing. I'm being vague. You had to have it to kind of drive the story forward, and I think its pinnacle and peak using those devices worked really well. But the kind of, when you take a minute to think about it, you're like, wait, I feel like that could have been thought out a little bit better. And the only thing that really significantly bothered me while watching the film was there's a moment in the second act where the film shifts tone to a little bit more comedic. And while the comedy works and the suspense and the darker tone work, the shift in the tone and when it shifts back, I thought was very jarring. I don't think the filmmakers did the best job of weaving in and out between those tones. And it kind of, as an audience member, you kind of had to quickly readjust your brain to the type of movie that you thought you were watching. And luckily it sticks the landing and it's only a brief portion of the second act, because a lot of the movie is just a bunch of rich people having fun, and which comes with its own natural humor and natural suspense, which the film does very well. But when it gets to a particular point, when these characters who are going through something very traumatic decide to kind of go the comedic route about that trauma, it didn't feel like you were being led to that, and not in a fun, subversive way, in this moment didn't quite work way. But other than that, I thought that this film was incredibly well made, incredibly well done. Again, it was a lot better than I anticipated it being, and I will probably see this movie again. I had a really great time watching it. It has a really great message, very dark themes, and again, I love the ending, but I anticipate it'll be a divisive one. Once you guys see it, what did you think of Blink Twice? I'd love to see your comments down below. Thank you guys so much for watching, and we'll see you on the next one.